Newlandings Job Chat is brought to you in part by the Prosperity Advisory Group, the next step in your financial future, and by the EBS Group with an unparalleled background in Oracle solutions and services.
Not only artists and models can have portfolios, anyone can, including you. But why would you want one? You'll find out today on Job Chat. Your hosts today are Hector Silva and
Sarah Kane.
Our guest is Karen Silins.
Karen Silins is president and owner of A+ Career and Resume LLC. She is a multi-certified resume writer and career and personal branding coach with 16 plus years of expertise and a prior career in human resources. Karen is on the cutting edge of career coaching techniques and resume development trends and committed to individual, personalized service, providing a realistic approach to the client's goals through a variety of career coaching competencies, personal branding strategies, or in career document preparation. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you.
Welcome, Karen. I'm going to start with a twofold question. Simply, what is a portfolio and why is it a benefit?
A portfolio is like a documentation of the things that you've done in your career. Certainly you can have a portfolio and just have a very few things in there and be quite effective with it, but quite frankly, human resources thinks people are lying during the process of interviewing. Even a poll years ago taken by Wall Street Journal's Career Journal, they asked how many people actually lie on their resumes. 83%, and this was before the economy turned. So when the economy becomes a problem, people even get more desperate and lie about more things. So this allows people to come in and prove, hey, I say I have a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Here is a copy of my degree. And it does lend a lot of credibility for them. So it's a good thing for the interviewer because they can see that this is a real person who is telling them the truth. It's a great thing for the interviewee because it makes for great interview preparation. And it's something that's not just a one-time thing. They can continue to use it throughout their career. Performance reviews, raise reviews, anything that they're going to do to try for a promotion, all of these things, it can keep going over the years. So it's a real benefit to them throughout their career.
Now, we always think about, like Hector said, models and artists having portfolios. Is there anyone who can't have a portfolio?
I would say no. I'd say anybody can have one. It's really as simple as just a resume and a cover letter and some reference letters, and then I like to teach people about what I call challenge, action, and result, and creating examples of things ahead of time that you've done in your career that you keep in your career portfolio in a very simple manner that you can certainly talk about more in depth in an interview. Just those things alone are enough to have a career portfolio because certainly you'll be referring to your resume, you'll be referring to your cover letter, you'll be referring to those questions that you've already created answers to. So,
Is there any specific format that you would suggest, or is it different for each person?
It's different for each person because everybody has different certifications or licensing. They've taken different courses. Some people have a degree, some people don't. So in just the education standpoint, there's a lot of variety in what people might have.
So you need to sit down and do a little analyzing of, based on what you're interviewing for.
Absolutely.
What is it that you want to show most important to them?
Exactly. And I even have a list that will be provided through Job Chat of different things that people can have in their career portfolio. It's quite extensive. And you don't need all of it. You just need a few of those things.
Do you take the whole thing with you and then just use parts of it, or is it something that you kind of turn over the whole thing to the interviewer?
You would have it with you. It's literally like one of those leather-bound portfolios that looks like a briefcase that people use now. They no longer use the hard-sided briefcases. They use the soft-sided. And it merely has a 3-ring binder in the middle of it, but over on the right-hand side, it has the 8.5 by 11 legal pad. So you can take notes in there. You have room to put business cards in there. You have ease of referring to different things in your career portfolio. And so now everything's all in one place. And you don't want to give up control of that portfolio during the interview, but what you do is tell them if you'd like to see anything, it will be available after the interview. And it's something, if they really want to see it, they're going to ask. If not, they've noticed that you're that organized.
And it sounds like it can make some great talking points as well.
Absolutely, because it's unusual. Most of the professions won't have it. It's typical for maybe a marketing person. Obviously, artists have it oftentimes, whether they're an actor or an actual visual artist of some sort. But anybody can have them, so because that looks unusual when they go into the interview, it really does elicit additional conversation, which makes the person more relatable.
Can you give us an example of maybe a career path where you wouldn't think there's any chance that you could have a portfolio for this position or this career, and yet you were able to create one?
I had a lady who was a pipe fitter, and she was quite sure she was not going to have a career portfolio. So one of the things that I did was talk to her about, okay, so we're going to have a resume and we're going to have a cover letter. I'm going to prepare those for you. Go get some letters of reference, and we talked about how to do that and what kind of people we needed to utilize. And then from there, I talked to her about having her list of references for people to call, and then we worked on these challenge, action, and result statements. And ultimately, what she had was a portfolio that was quite full that included union membership information and proof that she was a pipe fitter, other certification classes she'd taken, and she was positive that there was no way that I could teach her how to have one because she was just a pipe fitter. And I said, no, you are a highly skilled individual. You can certainly have one of these. So it really doesn't matter. I've taught bank tellers to executives. I've pretty much worked with clients over the last, I'd say, 7 or so plus years. With every client that I have for resume writing, they will have a portfolio.
So it sounds to me like this is something that is a living type of portfolio that continues to change.
Yes, it evolves as time goes on.
You have to keep on modifying it, changing it. And while you're working, then take an opportunity to maybe take a picture of something you've done or something so that it's all there later on.
Absolutely. And I teach my clients, don't just let this be a one-time thing. And when they come back to me for updates for their resume or they want some career management coaching, we talk about what have you done with your career portfolio lately? So they go and get those certificates and they learn. Don't throw away certificates from learning opportunities. Certainly don't throw away certificates from certifications or licensing or anything that you have with your degrees. Don't throw away performance reviews. That way they have all of this information going forward to continue to put in there. And the great thing is when you use it for, say, a performance review, if you're thinking about different challenges you've had throughout the year and the results that you've achieved because of the actions that you took on those challenges, now you have proof of the different things that you've done for the company that year for that performance review. If the boss says, well, tell me about what you've done this year, you may have literally a laundry list of things to talk about. And that could make a huge difference between them actually seeing you as just the normal performance review person or, wow, this person's a real asset to our company.
So it sounds like it's much more than just a job search tool. It's a career management tool.
Indeed. Yes, it's something that they will continue to use and it will continue to morph throughout their career so they can, all they have to do is keep it up. And I talk to them about keeping an I love me file, which literally has all these certificates in it, and it has their licensing, and it has their performance reviews and updated reference letters and all of this. So they don't have to worry about trying to recreate everything each time they go on a job search.
Sounds like a good place for attaboys.
Yes, it's an excellent place for attaboys. I tell people thank you letters, awards, all of this counts. And I don't care if it's an employee of the month. You still earned it. So it's something that could be utilized in the portfolio.
Yeah, it's still something that differentiated you from everybody else.
Exactly.
New Landings Job Chat will be back right after a word from our sponsors.
Hello, my name is William Easley, Managing Director of Wealth Management with Prosperity Advisory Group. While under unemployment stress, there may be a temptation to become more conservative with your investment allocation. Recognizing how short-term problems can adversely influence your thinking about long-term goals can help you avoid costly mistakes. It's reasonable to expect that you may need cash and more liquid assets at your disposal as you assess your financial situation over a job loss. However, you must avoid selling long-term investments as a panic response to uncertainty. You may trigger an unwanted tax or generate an ill-timed loss. Conversely, being unemployed isn't the time to take a flyer on a hot stock tip, ratcheting up your risk level in hopes of a quick profit to make up for lost income. You may do nothing more than compound your cash flow problem. A reasoned and balanced approach is recommended. Start by seeking out a qualified financial planner, such as a CFP professional, who can help you assess your unemployment situation, suggest strategies for conserving wealth, and perhaps help you with ideas on how to best protect assets. It's important to sort out alternatives while structuring a plan around your short-term objectives and your long-term goals. Again, I'm William Easley with Prosperity Advisory Group, the next step in your financial future.
So a lot of people might think there are some awards that they would get that could be considered cheesy and maybe don't belong in a portfolio. Do you see any of those, or do you just feel everything belongs in a portfolio?
I would say that especially any award that talks about performance is probably the most appropriate. Just something that's given that's really not descriptive, while it can be included, may not be as impactful as something that says you got this award because you did XYZ. So we do want to be careful with what we put in there exactly. A lot of people have done things for charities, and I certainly have a number of them that say I participated, I mentored, whatever. And while they look great and they're nice little awards, unless it says specifically what I have done, I wouldn't necessarily put it in my portfolio.
So other than proving to someone that what you say is true, what are some of the other benefits you can use that portfolio for?
Well, networking. It is a fabulous asset for networking. People go to a networking event, or quite frankly, they're just going to say a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and they think, well, what am I going to take with me? I'm job seeking maybe, and I'm going to take copies of my resume, and that's fine. You can put those in the portfolio if you need them. But most people don't want to be overwhelmed with a bunch of paper at a networking event. So instead, what you offer them is the ability to take a peek in the portfolio, and you just ask them. It could be a networking luncheon that you go to specifically with one or two people. You can take it to a lot of different venues, and having it for that networking is just huge because, again, you're differentiating yourself from the crowd. The average person isn't going to bring that to a networking event. We're trying to get people to bring business cards to networking events that talk about what they can do for a company, let alone a career portfolio. People just don't think about it.
So could you have then the general portfolio and then have many portfolios that you can pull things out of based on what your audience is going to be at that time?
Absolutely, because most people are not one-dimensional in their career. They may have multiple things that they want to pursue. So let's say somebody wants to pursue being a landscape architect, but then they also have a sales background because they're selling the landscape architect or architecture to their clients. Well, they could have one that's more based on all the pictures of all the things that they've done in landscaping and all the different clients that they've had and awards that they've won on that side. And then for the sales one, have something that they just switch out that more talks about their sales results and discusses the different types of clients that they've dealt with on a sales basis.
So we often hear that you're supposed to have more than one resume based on, different interests. Same thing with the portfolio.
You could, yes. It could easily be interchangeable. I mean, certainly if you're looking at sales and sales management, you could probably use the same portfolio for both. But when you have a little bit of diversity in those careers, you can absolutely have interchangeable portfolios.
Now, should this tie back to your resume? So go through your resume and make sure that you have something to support each point on your resume, or how do you feel like it ties into your resume there?
I think it's important to at least support a few points on your resume, particularly when you say you have a degree. That's the number one thing people will lie about on their resume. So having a copy of your degree, and it doesn't matter what the degree is in. I tell people for a joke, it could be underwater basket weaving. We're not really concerned. It just needs to be in there to showcase that you really have that degree. To a performance review or a thank you letter or something that points to a specific project you've worked on that you're discussing in detail on that resume.
So we said it's a benefit when you're networking, a benefit when you're interviewing, a benefit when you're managing your career, and as you just said, when you're doing performance reviews. So it has many different uses.
Yes.
Is there any one that you have seen that it's used the most in?
Job seeking. Traditional job seeking. So going to the interview and having that portfolio in front of them. That's the one thing that if people are going to think about a portfolio as something useful to them, this will be the point that they'll utilize. It's for my job seeking, it's for my interviewing. I just happen to teach my clients that it's so much more than that and that it's not a one-off. You're not just doing this one time and then you'll never do it again.
It would seem a little clumsy to have to carry all of this with you. Mm-hmm. Are there ways to make it a little easier so that when you take it different places, you can get more benefit out of it?
Well, just having the leather-sided portfolio and just having everything in one area, not having multiple books and notebooks and binders and all of that with you is what makes it easy for you to carry it. For a woman, it's almost like having a purse. For a guy, it's like having a briefcase. So it's easy for them to take from one event to another and not feel awkward with it. And I think that's the most important thing. Keep everything in one area, not several different areas of documents and lots of different notebooks. And quite frankly, if somebody can't really afford to go out and buy what would be a $30 potentially leather-like portfolio, because I tell people don't spend the money on the real leather unless you're just dying to spend that extra money. Essentially, you can go to a notebook that you have, a very nice notebook, a 3-ring binder, and use that if you have to. And you can stick an 8.5 by 11 legal pad in there in one of the cubbies and just have it with you. But it still at least gives you that opportunity for that portfolio.
So organization is another benefit.
Yes, and I talk about using the tabs. Tabs are huge.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're going to have your resume and cover letter, and then you're going to have reference letters, and then you're going to have something about your degrees, and then you're going to have something about professional development, and then you're going to have something about performance reviews, and then, oh, here's some conferences I went to and pictures and things like that. You need to have tabs that say, conference pictures, performance reviews. So you just turn right to there and voila, you have the information you want right in front of you. So it makes it seem less awkward, because a lot of people, when they have stuff with them, they'll have multiple items with them. And one of the things that I've seen and when I interview people a lot of times for other organizations is they'll have all these different things. They can't find anything. Oh, well, I think it's in here. And they'll rummage through there and it's not in there. So then they'll go to the next thing and they'll rummage through there and they still can't find it. So if you have everything all in one item, all in one portfolio, now and then have the tabs with it, now all you do is switch to that tab and there you go.
I see a lot of people switching to more of a technology based with
Yes.
maybe a tablet instead of the hard copy. Do you have a preference? Is it better to have one or the other, or is it just what you're most comfortable with?
I prefer the hard copy. You lose control of it once you put it into the media and it's available on the internet, or you hand somebody a disc. Everything that's on there, now they have access to do whatever they want with it. I'm not saying that everybody's going to be disingenuous in some way and take your information and steal your identity or something like that. But I think it is important to keep the access to that to a certain extent limited, and particularly if you're going into an interview and you're going to be taking notes anyway, or at a networking event, a lot of times there's a speaker and you're taking notes. Well, you're going to have that notebook with you anyway. You may as well have the 8.5 by 11 legal pad over here, take the notes on, then refer to the things in your career portfolio and go back to that.
Going back to you said originally, though, it seems that the biggest benefit is credibility.
Yes.
And how important is that? I mean,
Well, since they assume you're lying when you walk in, anytime you can prove you're the credible candidate, you set yourself above all the other candidates. They really do think you're lying when you walk in there. And one of my clients went to a roundtable for human resources just recently, and she asked him, she said, do you really think that when people come in and interview, they're lying to you? And it was unanimous. Absolutely. We absolutely believe that these people are lying to us, and let us tell you some stories. It's amazing what people will do, and there's been some famous, very famous examples recently, including the Yahoo CEO.
Now, how do you, if you're a job seeker, take that knowledge that HR or hiring manager may have that feeling that you're just lying? How do you keep that from making you paranoid and oversharing and getting too much detail?
Absolutely. If you already know that you've got some proof of the things that you say with you, that makes you feel more confident. If you can describe in detail projects that you've worked on and things that you've done, that makes you more confident. So you've developed these stories that I teach my clients how to develop, and you've developed this portfolio that has 2 or 3 different items that say, I said I had a degree and here it is. I said I have this certificate of completion for this course for, say, project management. Here it is. I said that I had a performance review that cited this project. Here it is. Well, now they don't think you're probably lying about everything else. You really don't have to worry about it. Once you've proven a few things, it's doubtful you're lying about everything else.
Have any of your clients come back to you and said, boy, I'm so glad I had that with me, or are there any stories about that?
A lot of stories. In fact, I had a client that she literally went and interviewed with Deloitte and Touche, and they are very well known for having a multi-process hiring. They did not have a multi-process hiring with her. They looked at her portfolio afterwards and said, anybody who's this organized is somebody that should be working for us, and offered her the job that day. Wow. While that doesn't happen with every client, certainly, I find that my clients have comments made to them. Well, that portfolio is really interesting. Can I look at it? Wow, you really prepared for this interview, didn't you? I just taught somebody about the portfolio on Friday for an interview on Monday. A very last minute thing, and it really helped her out. She said, I felt so confident going in. I had examples of projects. I knew what I was going to talk about specifically. I had some of the classes that I'd taken showcased in there, and it just really gave me a level of confidence that I think other interviewees didn't have.
It's not always the person that has the best resume that gets a
Absolutely.
job. It's the person normally that's best prepared.
Best prepared and best relatable.
Right, and this gives a visual to them of your preparation.
Absolutely. It is visual documentation. And regardless of whether the person's a visual person or not, they notice that. That's something different. So when they see somebody come in with all that information ready, they're going to notice that and say, wow, this person really spent a lot of time preparing for this interview. And you can keep other information in there that's very useful. Information on the company, questions you might have, all of that information as well. So in the middle of the interview, when they ask you, tell us what you know about our company, you can answer that question and you can answer it very well.
Well, Karen, we want to thank you for going over some of these benefits with us, and they're extensive. We're talking about networking.
Yes.
We're talking about interviewing. We're talking about career management, performance reviews, job seeking, having control, showing your organization, and best of all, creating credibility.
Yes.
That's a long list of things that
Exactly.
come out of just one portfolio.
Yes. It's a very big benefit for people to have it, and it's multifaceted. So just taking a little bit of time can reap huge rewards on the other end.
Well, thank you for being here with us and talking about the benefits, but I'm sure that there might be other questions people have. Where could they reach you if they wanted to talk to you?
They can reach me via 2 ways. One, they can obviously contact me on the web, and that would be Karen, Karen, at careerandresume.com, all spelled out. Or they can just call me at 816-942-3019.
Great. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can hear more advice and information from Karen and other guests by listening to past chats on our website at www.newlandingsjobchat.org, or just search for Job Chat on YouTube.
And until next time, may your days be full of health, happiness, and success.